Hello everyone. Um, Congratulations, we have finished our two modules. So today we're going to start our third module and we're going to learn how to write basic SQL. Alright, this is chapter 4 from our 6th edition and we are going to learn about basic SQL. So in this chapter we are going to talk about overview of SQL data definition, for specifying data definition for specifying a relational database schema. Okay, and we'll know about basic retrieval queries in SQL that has a special format, and we are going to know about basic database modification in SQL. So let's start. So first we are going to see some overview of SQL. So SQL, it stands for stands for structured query language. So it's a standard comprehensive language based on the relational model. So that's important to know that this SQL, that's a standard language, okay, and this is solely based on relational model. Okay, means we have some relation, and the relational model, we know about relational model from our last module from chapter 3. Okay, so the SQL includes some capabilities. Few of them are, we have DDL. DDL stands for data definition language. So DDL statements for, we can create schema, or we can specify data types and constant in our schema. So we know about relational schema and database schema, right? So relational schema and database schema, how we can create them? We can create them using DDL statement, and DDL stands for data definition language. We can write some statement for specifying database retrieval. So if we want to retrieve a specific record, okay, based on some condition, we can actually do that by using SQL. Okay, so it will provide a statement for modifying the database. Modifying the database means, we know modifying means we can insert a new row, we can delete a record, or we can update an attribute from an existing relation. Okay, so these are the modification of database, and SQL will provide us the statement for modifying the database. Okay, now we SQL also provide us some advanced statements for specifying view, trigger, and assertion. So we are going to talk about them in chapter 5, okay, in the next chapter, which is actually advanced SQL. So in this chapter we are going to talk about, in basic SQL we are going to talk about these three capabilities. We'll know how to write a DDL statement, how to write a statement for database retrieval, how to write a statement for modifying the database. There are many other capabilities. We are going to see all of them in our next chapter. In basic SQL DDL, let me remind you, DDL stands for data definition language. So data definition means where we are going to define the data. Okay, where we are going to define the data. For example, when we are going to create a schema. So example of DDL means we want to create schema. Okay, we want to create relation, or we want to create table or relation. So these are the example of our data definition. So when we are going to create a schema or create a table, here creation of a relation also includes, we are going to need also specify the data type of each attribute. We have to also specify the key constant, referential integrity constant, and other constant. Okay, so a basic SQL DDL, it will include the create statement. It has a comprehensive set for SQL data types. Okay, because when we create a relation, each relation has a set of attributes, and for each attribute we need data type. Okay, it can specify key constant, referential integrity constant, and other constant. Okay, so object oriented feature of SQL DDL, it has a object oriented feature, and but it's for actually another discussion. Now basic retrieval query in SQL, it has a special format. It's not actually part of DDL. Okay, it's not part of DDL. DDL are going to includes the following of them. Okay, and basic database modification language, they are known as insert, delete, update statement. Okay, so these statements are the part of DML. DML stands for data modification language. Let's see just briefly see some origins and history of SQL standard. So the SQL standard was first approved in 1989. It used to be called SQL 89 or SQL 1. Okay, so then it had another revision in 1992. It was called as SQL 92, okay, or SQL 2. The third big revision was in 1999. It used to call SQL 99, okay, or SQL 3. Then there were other revision like in 2003, 2006, and 2008. The origin of SQL, it used to originally called SQL. I still actually in recent also I saw some people they call it like as a SQL. Okay, but SQL, it actually mostly stands for structured query language, but the SQL, it stands for structured English query language. Now it's just written as SQL, which is known as structured query language. So it was developed and at IBM Research for experimental relational DBMS system called System R in 1970. So first let's see what do we mean about SQL data definition. So in SQL data definition, we are going to use a keyword create. Okay, we are going to use a keyword create. Now SQL language, it's important that SQL language is case insensitive. Okay, case insensitive. So I mean in the interface, if you write all caps or in all small letter or combination of caps and small letter, everything means same. Okay, so create means it's a keyword. So which case you are using, upper or lower or combination of them, both means same. All right, so create statement can be used to create a named database schema. So you can create a database. Okay, a database, what a relational database. As we said that SQL has been created solely based on relational model. Okay, so when we are talking about database, we have to understand that we are talking about relational database. So we can create a database schema. All right, so each database has a name. Okay, and each database schema means each database is a collection of relation. Okay, now using create statement, we can create individual database table. So this one, by using this one, we can create a database, and we can create individual relation. So as a hierarchy, you can see that we need a relational database. So each relational database has couple of, it's a set of relation. Okay, set of relation 1, relation 2, relation 3, all of them. So to create a database, we are going to use create statement. Okay, to create individual relation, we are going to also use create statement. Now when we'll create a individual relation, for each relation means or tables means each table or relation has also set of attributes. Okay, and each attribute is associated with a data type. So when we'll create a relation, we are going to specify also data type for the table attributes, as well as we are going to specify the constraint. Okay, the constraint can be key constraint, referential constraint, or domain constraint. Okay, for example, not null constraint. And we can also create some named constraint. For example, we can create our own constraint. Okay, so there are other commands which is part of data definition. For example, if we have created already something, we may want to drop that or alter that. For example, in your database you have 4 tables, but you can think that you may not need one table. Okay, in that case we can uh, drop a table. Drop table means delete a table. Okay, and alter table means you can change the properties of the table or relation. Okay, for example, you can delete one attribute, or you can add one more attribute, you can add one more constraint. Okay, any kind of changes, any kind of modification in a relation or in a database, we're going to use alter statements. But the detail of that, it is we are going to talk about that in chapter 5, or advanced SQL, in advanced SQL technique.